On this week's episode, Captain America truly returns to the MCU. Was Mortal Kombat a flawless victory? And are the Mighty Ducks Game Changers your next Disney Plus watch? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode. Of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows, and if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, it is sincerely appreciated. Plus, I also want to give a big shout out to all the great radio stations that are part of the Pop Culture Cosmos family, including newest additions, KCWRS, Radio Oxen, and so many of the others that make us that just make a part of the Pop Culture Cosmos universe, including News Force, Real Wise Productions, K-Lab Radio, Beach House Radio, Paisley Radio. You guys are all great. Love all the stations that we're on, and we cannot thank you enough for being part of the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He's our own Chef Josh of Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to see what he's doing today at popculturecosmos.com. His awesome podcasts, Super BS Games, the Super BS Games Cast, and Topicocalypse. Plus also as well his awesome book, his fantastic book, Congratulations, You Suck, which you can now get on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It is my good friend. It is Chef Josh Peterson. What's up, Chef?
Just cooking things up, cooking things up in the kitchen, trying to get big pieces of chicken to cook on the barbecue as fast as they can. It doesn't always work out that way, but yeah, man, things are good. We're out here in Texas. The weather's warm. Sky's blue, or it was blue earlier. Life is good, man. How are you?
Doing all right. I got to have our good friend Ben Arnault from the Smoking Hot Confessions stop over and see and taste and test to see how good those chickens really are off the barbecue.
Hey, it's I'm I'm learning as I go here. I've dabbled in like wing cooking. I've dabbled in drumstick cooking. Dabbled in steak. I'd love to talk to Ben Arnault about how he keeps, when you make like steak tacos, how he keeps the meat like tender instead of feeling like you're eating beef jerky. Would love to have that conversation. That's the only thing I've been struggling with as far as barbecues go.
I can arrange that, my friend. I can arrange that because he's overdue for a trip to the Pop Culture Cosmos. So I'll tell you what, I will see what I can work out. He is in Australia, so the time frames are a little bit different, but we'll see what we can work out on an upcoming episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos.
Right.
But it is going to... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, sounds good.
Well, we are going to have an awesome show we've got for you planned today here as well, because we're going to Spoiler Town, because we got a whole bunch of spoilers as we're talking Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's no longer Falcon. It's Captain America and the Winter Soldier. We're going to talk about episode 6 and the series coming up here on the program. We're also going to be sharing our thoughts and our review of Mortal Kombat as well. And we've got a ton of guests on today's show, as TJ Johnson and Ellen Glassford are here to talk Captain America and Winter Soldier. Thomas Bennett is finally here, feeling better. I'm so glad he's on the show. He is actually here to stop by to talk about Mortal Kombat and the Mighty Ducks Game Changer series on Disney Plus. And Noah Ian Fine is here to talk about Mortal Kombat as well. And before we head on out, on the back end of the show, Josh will have his own thoughts as a big fan of the Mighty Ducks. If you need to check out the Mighty Ducks Game Changers on Disney Plus, and I'll throw in a little bit of tidbits on Shadow and Bone as well. But for this weekend, my friend, we will go ahead and give everyone a box office update later on here in a few minutes in regards to Mortal Kombat, because we'll be talking about that in a sec. But the biggest news, even with the Oscars that's going on as we're talking right now, and you can get the updates on our Facebook page, Pop Culture Cosmos, for the entire list of winners right there for you. So if you missed out on it, it's right there for you at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. But I do want to talk about something just as important to us in the world of pop culture, and that was the season finale of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, because we finally saw in episode 6 Falcon finally going through all the metamorphosis, all the changes, and finally accepting the role and embracing the role of Captain America. And boy, did he ever, saving the day, saving the GRC, the members of the GRC, the GRC, and just basically going ahead and also sending a message to the entire world about how we should treat each other, and the trials and tribulations that he had to go through, and what he has to deal with in taking up the mantle as Captain America. So I want to hear your thoughts, man, with a possible Captain America 4 that's on the way, that was just announced, with the showrunner for the series now penning that possible movie on the way, which actually it sounds like it's a movie on the way. What's your thoughts on this last episode of the season for Captain America and the Winter Soldier?
It was a weird combination of fan service and kind of like a long PSA. So I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't what I wanted out of the finale, but I don't regret watching it. First, from a cinematography standpoint, I didn't like how shaky the camera was during those fight scenes. Did you notice that?
That happens quite a bit these days when I see in modern filmmaking, where they want to go to the shaky cam when they do that to accentuate the rough and tumble battle that we see. So I see that more often than not.
Well, it almost like it wasn't even the fact that it was a shaky cam, it was the fact that the framing was all off. Like, if you looked at a fight, the majority of the fight took place at the top of the screen. So the bottom half of the screen is just moving ground, and like things falling. Like, you were paying, it's almost like your eyes drifted to the place where the actors weren't, as opposed to where they were. And that kind of bothered me. Like, it wasn't making me nauseous. It was just like, I felt like I was missing things because it was just shaking and cutting too fast.
Well, I mean, there was a John Wick influence, because individuals that were part of the John Wick's movies behind the scenes, a lot of that influence did come into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which turned into Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So
yeah,
I think I see that John Wick influence there. But I think to me, the message that it sent to me was great. The fact that it developed Falcon into the Captain America that we now know going forward, I think was awesome. I think everything around it was very much hit or miss, especially in that episode at the end. A lot of the things that were surrounding it, like the power broker, and Sharon Carter is now officially the power broker, which I knew all along, basically ever since episode 3.
Yeah, you had to be blind not to see it.
I mean, the way that was developed or underdeveloped, that one was truly a missed proposition there. The fact that Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers, they were quickly disposed of, and how she is dead over just a couple gunshots, when we've seen Captain America with the super serum be basically 7, 10, 15, he's taken so many bullet holes already during the course of his lifetime. And this is supposed to be an upgraded super serum, and she's dead after 1 or 2 gunshots. Kind of, when Sharon Carter, who shot her, was also shot herself, is not dead and doesn't have super serum. So
well, we saw Carly get shot. Carly, right? That was her name.
Yes, Carly Morgenthau.
We saw her get shot in the stomach, and it was either the episode before or the one before that, and she kind of shook that off. But it seemed like they had a lot of like loose ends in this episode, and they didn't know how to close them. So they were like, let's just do this and this and this and this, and then we can call it a day. I think the most disappointing aspect, again, like I liked the episode okay, but it just was not my favorite from the series. So, looking at the episode as a whole and how the character arcs ended, I didn't like the way they treated Bucky. Like, this felt like the second time that he got his time to shine kind of stolen from him. They did that with Avengers, and I know the series wasn't like, it's mostly about Captain America as opposed to the Winter Soldier, but like, still, instead of like giving him this like cool fight scene, he has to go off and babysit John Walker. Like, that was just that disappointed me, because we saw that we were like, oh yes, the Winter Soldier's back in Avengers Infinity War. And remember, besides that cool scene with him and Rocket Raccoon, he didn't. What did he do? Nothing. Like, he shot some guns and stuff, and that was really it. Like, he is every bit as strong as Captain America is. He just has a grayer moral code, you know. So I was kind of bummed out in that aspect. John Walker just showing up was kind of interesting to me. I know they're trying to give him his redemption arc, but it felt very forced. Did you get that same vibe?
It was like it didn't need it to be done. It should just gone. It should just taken him. He should just taken him, and that end credits, that mid credits scene that he turns into U.S. agent, and just put it at that. They didn't need him in the episode. They really didn't.
Yeah. I guess my last complaint, and then I want to say the one thing that I really did enjoy, but my last complaint was the long PSA they had in this. Like, it felt, when he gets on and he's like talking to the senator on the air, like, I don't know, like, I don't disagree with the message, but I feel like there's such a better way to do that, because it went from being this action show to being like this, I don't know, like something a government teacher would play you off YouTube in the middle of class. Like, it felt, I don't know, it just didn't feel like it flowed well. And then the fact that, like, no senator would sit there and like have a conversation like this after, that type of experience. So I like, again, like, I love the message. I just feel like there's a better way to do it. Like, they, again, like, I applaud Ryan Coogler from the Black Panther for taking his messages and like incorporating it into the action of the film. For this one, it all just stopped. Like, the episode just stood still. There wasn't even any music playing while he was talking. Like, that was one thing that kind of like, it really pulled me out of the episode.
It would have been better if they had the message, maybe like a showing that maybe in chronological order a day later at the GRC while they're making the decision, and Captain America bursting in there and then making the statement with some nice music background behind it. Maybe that would have been more effective. But then again, in the way that we live, showing it live, having it live broadcast, there in that platform, I didn't mind it. In fact, I enjoyed it for what it was, and I thought the message would be clear. I understand that what you're saying was maybe something more formal like that. It maybe would have been more apropos.
Formal, or even have him have like this last impactful conversation with like Carly, right? Like, have that. I feel like it would have been better delivered to her. I don't know. Like, it felt like the episode stopped, and that was, I guess, like, I don't know. I didn't really dig that. I felt like they could have made it part of the vehicle instead of like just a stopping point, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. But again, I kind of liked it for what it was. I just thought everything around it, like we were talking about, was very messy and it was very hit or miss.
Oh, for sure.
I would have loved to, I would have loved a little bit more depth into the redemption for the Winter Soldier, to give him a little bit more shine as well. Yeah. I thought that the way that they incorporated, like you said, babysitting John Walker, I thought that was, again, he didn't need to be in the episode until the end, the last final cut scene that they have for him. That would have been fine for that. Sharon Carter as the power broker, most people saw it coming a mile away. And everything else tied with the GRC and the Flag Smashers, as far as that end of it, was really not tied up at all. Or it was the logic on some of the stuff was just kind of left to be desired. But again, the main message was there. The main message was given. I love the Isaiah Bradley arc.
Okay. That's what I was going to touch on next. Like, that was really good. Like, I felt emotional just watching like his reaction to seeing that statue in the Captain America museum. Like, that was really cool.
So did my daughter and I. So yeah, absolutely. That part of it, they hit 100%. And I'm hoping that the message gets over to a lot of other people as far as the importance of Isaiah Bradley in the MCU and what it's all about and what it exemplifies and what it represents as far as the way we can go forward as people. But again, it is Captain America and Winter Soldier. If you haven't checked it out, you shouldn't have been listening, because we've been talking spoilers throughout. It is available right now on Disney Plus. But I think the last thing I want to talk to you about before we hit up Mortal Kombat really quickly is, when it comes to Captain America, there is a Captain America on the way, whether it's a season 2 or a movie or both. I know a movie is now in development. Hopefully there's a season 2 as well.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was talking to my wife about this morning. Like I like Captain America, but I don't like Captain even when it was like Steve Rogers. Like I just don't like that character enough to like be really stoked about another Captain America film. Like I loved the like the espionage aspects of Winter Soldier, and I know we've talked about that movie time and time again, just how amazing it is. But the character of Captain America, like I don't know. Like, yes, I will watch it, and yes, it'd be cool to see Captain America 4 and kind of see where Sam goes with this. But I'm not like terribly excited about it. Not as excited as I'd be about like an Iron Man 4. With whatever with the kid from Iron Man 3 or Ironheart or whatever wherever they want to go with it. I don't know. It's just the character has never really been that fascinating to me to really like be stoked about another Captain America entry.
I'm a little bit different. Captain America is the arc I've wanted to go on for quite some time and stay on. Civil War for me was like a bump on the road. I thought
Yeah.
for the most part, Captain America, I liked the Captain America, the First Avenger. Captain America: Winter Soldier is the best MCU movie ever.
Amen.
And Civil War was okay for what it was. I would like to still go back to it. I got goosebumps when Falcon and Winter Soldier debuted on Disney Plus. I mean, I was so excited for that because I love going back into this world of Captain America. So I'm looking forward to going back and seeing a Captain America movie, and hopefully it will be supplemented with a Captain America and Winter Soldier season 2, because they've done, just bang up numbers on Disney Plus. And I think it's something that, yes, I know we're going to see a movie with them, but I'm hoping to see a series developing the Winter Soldiers, the Winter Soldier next time around as well.
Yeah. So let me ask you one last question here. Do you think that with the multiverse opening that we could get a Captain America rebirth story where like Steve Rogers is like wandering through all these different multiverses trying to like find his way out of it? Do you think that would be a possibility?
The only way is if Chris Evans says yes, because right
Yeah.
now he's on the moon. So, yes.
Right.
What are your thoughts out there on Captain America and the Winter Soldier? The series just concluded, but the future is still very bright with a future of a movie on the way for Captain America and hopefully another season of Captain America and the Winter Soldier as well. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, before we get to all the guests, starting with TJ Johnson coming up, wanted to go ahead and hit you up on this. Mortal Kombat debuted in theaters and HBO Max this past weekend, where it is #1 here in the US at the box office, narrowly squeaking out something I'm checking out and binging with my daughter right now, as far as the series is concerned. That is Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer almost beat out Mortal Kombat. They both did very good, very strong numbers initially for the box office here in the US. But Demon Slayer, which has been a huge hit in Japan, which again I'm binging right now with my daughter.
Where can you binge? Where can you binge? Oh, it's on Hulu.
Hulu,
okay.
yes. Yeah. Catch Demon Slayer, the series, on Hulu to get a better understanding, so that before you see the movie, that's a great way to do it. It is 20 some odd episodes, but right now we are binging on it, and my youngest daughter is really enjoying it. So I will say this, that Mortal Kombat, it did come out. I want to hear your thoughts on it. I mean, I'm just going to say this. For me, that it is, I enjoy the 95 movie that we talked about before at length, about how good and fun and campy and light and popcornish, but still very entertaining 1995 original Mortal Kombat is. And then you have the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, that was terrible. It's one of the worst movies of the 1990s. Absolutely terrible. You can't go from good to bad any better than those two movies. For me, Mortal Kombat, after I woke up the second time around because I had to watch it again because I fell asleep, to me leans more towards the Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I thought it was a bad movie. I don't think it was as bad as Annihilation. I know there's still a future for it, and there will be a future for the Mortal Kombat series, but to me, it got off on a real bad note.
So, I mean, I kind of disagree with you on that. Like,
I know, and this is something that a lot of people talk about. People are all over the place on this.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, it's not a great movie, but it's not a horrible movie. I think the director Simon McQuaid, like, he did the best he could with material that was never meant to be turned into a film. You know, like if you look at the like Sub-Zero and Scorpion, for example, like they were never meant to be big characters. They were just extra characters that they decided to put different color palettes on because they wanted a certain number of people on the roster. So like their story backstory is so convoluted anyways. Like there's so many different versions of it over the years, and they just like keep killing each other. Like there's no point to it. So I think that, you know, what he did with the material given to him was actually like, I think it was pretty well done. Like it's not even close to the ballpark of how bad Annihilation was. It's not as good as like the first one, because the first one's you know, for a 90s film is pretty good. And then but this one is you know, in the middle of the two, I guess. But from a cinematography standpoint, that opening scene with Sub-Zero and Scorpion was beautiful. Like it was just, the cinematography was great, the color palettes were great, the music was great, the acting was great. The guy that plays Scorpion, like he's a good actor. You know, he's been in a number of different things
and
over the
Chin
years.
Han, who plays Shang Tsung, the overall evil character in it, he's been a solid actor for years.
Yeah, he was in
The Dark Knight. He's been in a ton of things.
Yeah, and what's the guy that played Sub-Zero, Bihan, I don't know what the actor's name was, but he's in that show Warrior on Cinemax. So they got like pretty top-notch like martial arts talent to be in this film. It's just a shame that they didn't have a great script to work with. So moving on, like with that was pretty good. The character of Cole Young, I think his name was, like, you could tell that they were trying their best to mimic the Black Panther suit, but they didn't ever want to like come too close to doing it because of copyright issues, because he like absorbs the impact and then his attacks push it back out. Like you could tell that there was some copyright fear going on there with that, because they never really like show the suit doing what it's supposed to do. Kano is annoying, but he is the comic relief in the movie. Didn't like how Goro got just, I don't know. There's a lot of elements. You know, they try to get you attached to Cole Young's family. They're not in it long enough. They try to really like get you to sympathize for Scorpion and his tale, but it's not like, I don't know.
I love the fact that the director said, "Oh, we're not going to put the spine rip in there, but then again, we'll just throw F-bombs in every other fatality that's in there from the original game, and not the spine rip." So I was like, okay, you know, that was going too far. Really? Are you sure?
Yeah. And meanwhile, that one chick with the wings gets like split in half as her face hits the spinning hat.
Yeah.
You know, that guy's death felt pointless. Raiden was kind of a jerk. I don't know. There's a lot of things that were done very poorly, but it still was a lot better than Annihilation. You know, the first half of the movie is not that great, but the second half of the film kind of like picks up steam a little bit. And I guess like my one like big beef was that there was no like Mortal Kombat tournament. You know, there's just like, oh, I'm gonna try to stop these guys from fighting because I want to win without trying, you know, and then I'm gonna suck this guy's soul out even though he didn't do anything. And I could probably suck everybody's soul out here at once if I wanted to, but it's much more fun to watch them try to fight each other. Like there's a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies. But again, you know, taking the director took something that was never meant to be made into a film and made it into something watchable. So, I mean, that being said, I would give it somewhere in between like a 6.5 or a 7, you know?
Well, you said IGN gave it a Mortal Kombat a 7, and you thought this could be, or you asked if this could be a redemption for video game adaptations. I don't say it's a redemption. I mean, it's going to make money, and I'm sure it's done well for HBO Max. And this could lead into a sequel, if not more. I know one of the actors said he signed a 5-movie contract, so there's a possibility we could be seeing 5 Mortal Kombats for it. Hey, we've seen over 11 Mortal Kombat video games. Why not 5 Mortal Kombat films? But to me, I said it's closer to Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And my Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I've given it a 2. I've given the original Mortal Kombat movie as high as an 8, so I'll give that an 8. I think it's one of the best video game movie adaptations of all time, which is not saying a whole lot if that's the best, if that's one of the best right there for you, but it's fun. It's fun. It's super fun and super campy and super enjoyable. But for me, this one I got to give a 4 out of 10. This one really, again, I fell asleep the first time around, so I had to watch it again, and unfortunately, I was very pained to watch it all the way through.
Yeah, yeah, and like again, I understand that. I think that as far as like Annihilation goes, like Annihilation was a truly, truly horrible film. And like this movie was watchable in comparison to Annihilation. So yes, am I going to watch this movie again anytime soon? Probably not. But will I watch a sequel? Yes, I will most definitely watch a sequel to this movie.
What are your thoughts out there on Mortal Kombat? Did you think it was a flawless victory or a fatality in and of itself? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, coming up next, we've got reviews and thoughts from so many different people. Coming up over the next few minutes, we've got interviews with TJ Johnson, my daughter, Ellen Glassford, Thomas Bennett, and Noe Fine. And coming up at the back half of the show, in the last few minutes, it's Josh and I with thoughts on Disney's The Mighty Ducks, the Game Changers, The Mighty Ducks Game Changers, and also as well, Shadow and Bone. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to thank so much TJ Johnson, Noe Fine, Thomas Bennett, and my daughter, Ellen Glassford, for appearing on the show today. We truly appreciate it. Don't forget to catch Marcus De La Garza and I every single Friday when our new episode drops of the PCC Multiverse, covering the latest news and information in the world of pop culture. And of course, Josh and I here every Monday doing the Pop Culture Cosmos as well. But before we head on out, my friend, two last things. The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. Now that Falcon, aka Captain America, and the Winter Soldier is now done, and you've probably you've probably already seen the entire series, you need something new to watch on Disney Plus until June, when we have Black Widow and we also have Loki. If you're not interested in Star Wars The Bad Batch, there's not many alternatives that's fresh and new on Disney Plus, but one of them is the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. And as a big fan of the Mighty Ducks, and we heard earlier what Thomas Bennett, who's a fan of the Mighty Ducks, thought of it, I want to hear your thoughts on your experience so far with the Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Okay, so I like it, but it's missing some primary things that make it a Mighty Ducks like franchise piece. You know, like in Mighty Ducks, yeah, there were a lot of jokes and hijinks, but you had that like, I don't know, it boiled down to like the soundtrack and like the overall like feel of the movie. Disney did a great job of like creating this like 90s sports film, right? Like they did a good job with it when they switched the tints on the screen to like a dark brownish color and like, kind of making it look like an old film. Like they did a great job of making you feel like you were watching this like this sports film from years past. With the Mighty Ducks Game Changers, while it is good, it focuses more. It's not real. Like, yes, the show revolves around hockey, but it revolves more around the kids, you know, and the mom. And like, it's got a good message. You know, they're talking about like they're tackling a lot of things in the show right now. I think there's like 4 episodes out right now. I just finished episode 3. The mom is kind of this character of like, why can't you see what you like these parents that like live vicariously through their kids in sports, you know, like it almost becomes like, I'm the best soccer mom here. Like she talks about how like ridiculous that is, like how people get so caught up in the culture and they start to like forget about what it means to love the game or what it means to play the game for fun. So she kind of embodies that character. You know, and then as for the kids on the Ducks, like they're literally the underdogs, right? Like they call them the I forget what the team name is called, the Don't Bothers, because these are a bunch of kids who like nobody wants to bother with. So I'm sure we're gonna get them like getting better at hockey and having this comeback and playing up against the Mighty Ducks, who are now like a mean team, right? And they're being coached by this guy who is the son of the coach of the Hawks. You know, like he's taken over. We haven't quite gotten into why Gordon Bombay has given up on hockey, but you know, I'm sure we're going to get there eventually. So far the show is pretty, I'm sorry, I'm like going into all the minute details here, but so far the show is pretty good. Like it just doesn't feel like a Mighty Ducks movie though. Like it feels more like a show about kids who like hockey as opposed to like kids who actually play hockey.
So it's watchable. but not much more.
It's watchable, and I'm sure there's going to be more to it as it goes on. And they're supposed to have like guest characters reoccurring over there, like people from the original Ducks, whether it's Charlie or Banks or I forget what the big guy that played Foggy Nelson in Daredevil, who is the kid with the deep voice, and that he's going to be on it. I don't know about Sean Wise. I know he's going through some rehab stuff, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're going to get more backstory on what happened to Bombay and what happened to the Ducks. But for right now, yeah, it's watchable, and it's worth watching. I think it's funny. Like, it's got some really good jokes in it, but don't go into it expecting it to give you that feeling that, like, I don't know, that feeling you get when watching Mighty Ducks, that like really great feeling of a great sports film.
Last but not least is Shadow and Bone on Netflix. I said I would share some thoughts on it. It is similar in the realm to people asking about the Nevers in HBO Max as far as the level of popularity right now, with both seemingly getting some traction. With Shadow and Bone, it is looking like it's going to be that next young adult hit for Netflix, where it's reaching that audience of, let's say, 16 to 25. It's really going to go after that audience, I think, very well, because it seems to be, from what I've seen so far of the episodes, I think it's going to delve into that fantasy world really well, and it has been so far. So it's okay. It's pretty good. It's not great, but it does deal with a lot of things in a lot of ways that we've seen similar already from these fantasy young adult series and adaptations we've seen before. I do like the subtle changes that they made in regards to the characters from the book. I think they've been a little bit more positive. It's very inclusive, which I know a lot of people like that aspect, and I do as well. Just appreciate that they're doing that. But again, it is Shadow and Bone. For me, the time has been okay, and I think it's something that if you're into fantasy worlds where, again, these two countries that are at war, and the thing that's separating them is this thick black smoke wall, a magical wall of evil and monsters that lie between, and the travels that they have to go through it in order to go ahead and reach one area or another, and the mystery and the magic behind it, and some of the individuals that have magic and the power, and the one young lady who has the power above all, who's the chosen one, and all that. I mean, these are not things that are unknown as far as from what people watching as far as fantasy years before. They're not doing anything new, really, but what they are doing is something entertaining. And if you like to go ahead and delve into what I think will be the next hit for young adults in what we see from Shadow and Bone, I think this will do it for you on Netflix. I give it a little bit better grade than the Nevers. My time with the Nevers it's okay, but with the Nevers from HBO Max, but I don't think it's really that enthralling. So I want to go ahead and say, of the two, I'd say you probably lean towards Shadow and Bone. But again, both are okay. But I think I think of any of the new stuff that's out there, catch Captain America and Winter Soldier. To me, I think that was the best time.
So, Shadow and Bone. So after Mortal Instruments was adapted and that failed, and then Mortal Engines was adapted and that failed, and then Divergent kind of tanked, I feel like people have been trying to stay away from those like young adult.
This is a little bit older as far as it skews, a little bit older.
Yeah.
Not too much older. I mean, like possibly 19 to 22 is what the ages of what they're trying to portray. But it is something that is a little bit more captivating than those movies that you're talking about with the Mortal Instruments and whatnot. Yeah, that's something that, like you said, didn't click with audiences. I think this is going to, because it's on a platform with Netflix, where I think it will be allowed to go ahead and do so.
Okay, so I mean, I guess my last question here is: do you think that, assuming the rest of the season is good, do you think that this could lead the way for people to dive back into, novel adaptations outside of Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah, I have no doubt about it. I mean, Hollywood loves to go the adaptation route. I mean, with The Witcher, that's been one of their biggest success stories as far as Netflix is concerned, and that's an adaptation. So I don't see them going ahead and not adapting books or video game series or anything like that anytime soon. They need constant sources of content, and original stories seem to be the thing that they're a little bit dry on. So why not go ahead and adapt? And I think this is a pretty good adaptation of what you're seeing. And I think it does have a definite future going forward. I think it's going to get a lot of volume for Netflix in the coming weeks.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, hopefully we get more novel adaptations and people just don't start or stop beating the same material over and over again.
It's not bringing anything really new to the table, but what it's bringing is good enough, I think, for anybody to go ahead and sit down and watch. What are your thoughts out there on The Mighty Ducks Game Changers and Shadow and Bone? The Mighty Ducks Game Changers on Disney Plus and Shadow and Bone now on Netflix. We want to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. Any last thoughts on the way out?
No, I mean, I got to check out Shadow and Bone and maybe I can get some thoughts on that on the next episode. But, I want to hear thoughts from other people on Falcon and Winter Soldier. So if you guys have some thoughts, send us an email. I would love to talk about them on the air.
Don't tell anybody this, Josh, but I was the power broker the entire time.
Knew it.
There you go. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great